All right, Chief, go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Introduce myself as a retired Assistant Fire Chief, Harrisburg Bureau of Fire. I retired
September, wasn't it September of 99?
Yes, okay. I just put it. I retired in 1999 after 40 years of service with the Bureau.
Okay. So you got hired in
1954.
54.
You don't want to graduate and stuff or anything.
Whatever you want to talk about. How many people got hired with you?
Oh, me alone.
Oh, it was just you?
Yeah, they exhausted the list or whatever it was. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 54. Who were the chiefs then?
Earl Swartz.
Okay, Swartz.
And Mayor Robbins was the mayor.
Okay. And what badge number were you assigned?
5.
You were 5.
Mm-hmm. I was the first one to wear number 5 after Uncle George retired, and I took his. He had the number previous to me, and nobody else owned it.
So your uncle was on the job?
No, they called him Uncle.
Oh, okay. All right, and your dad was on the job?
Yes, okay. For 33 years.
33 years.
Mm-hmm. And he retired as an assistant chief.
Assistant chief. What year did he retire?
1963, I think. I don't have that down. That's something I didn't have.
What were some of your first assignments in 54? Give us an idea of the department. Driver only, how many engines, your first couple assignments?
When I first entered the department in 1954, I was assigned to the Susquehanna Fire at Cameron Street. And this is funny. And my first alarm came from 13th and Sycamore.
Right up the hill?
Right up the hill. I jumped on the wagon, went up the hill, and looked, nobody come, and I said something on the radio, and somebody said, yeah, that was a dinner alarm. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, did you bounce around a lot?
Yes.
Were you assigned to station?
Over the next few years, I worked in all 15 stations, drove all 15 pieces of apparatus. Eventually, I ended up being assigned to the squad, the Warshie, and I finished up.
So you actually you worked out of the Washington?
Yes, on the Commando, they called it at that time, which would be our squad now.
If you could, not to cut off the rest of your stories, could you give us a quick description of the Washington? Because one of the only other people I knew that had worked there was Smokey Harvey.
Smokey, yep, okay.
But obviously that building's not going, and for people watching, it was where the current ER entrance to Harrisburg Hospital would be. But
yes, okay.
If there's anything to tell us quick about that.
Okay, I asked and was assigned to the Warshie. I rode there for the rest of my time until they closed it up. Then I went back out to the Allison, where I drove Chief Shover's car for a little while. Then I went back onto the Allison ladder truck until such time as I was promoted. And getting back to the Warshie was a 2-story building, brick, built between a bar room and
well, that's always nice to have.
And a restaurant on the corner. And like I say, it was a 2-story building, no ventilation in the back, no back, a bedroom upstairs.
They have a spiral staircase?
Yeah, spiral staircase, and
and it was just a single-piece house, an engine now.
That's it, and it was just a 1-bay overhead door for going in and out, which was very narrow, trying to park on Chestnut Street in the traffic.
So upstairs, just bunk room?
And yes, and a big room in the front. There wasn't a whole lot with it.
A kitchen?
Kitchen down in the basement, but the cockroaches are so big you could have put a saddle on them and rode them probably. So we didn't eat down there too frequently.
Yeah. So upstairs was this bathroom, living space, and bunk room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did it still have the stained glass windows on the front with George Washington and
No.
No.
In fact, the windows were painted black for during the war for the blackouts.
Okay.
Downstairs, that's in the overhead doors. That's the only windows was in it, and the two up front, two in the second floor.
What do you mean? Oh, the blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I know, not jumping around, but the Allison's windows were all painted when I got the Allison. Was that for the same reasons?
Probably painted green because they didn't want to wash them.
Well, they were green.
Yeah, that's why I say they're painted green because I think one time they were clear. I'm not sure on that though.
Okay.
But they had a lot of windows there to wash.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. So what year did you get promoted? Do you know?
1968.
68.
Mm-hmm.
They promoted you to battalion chief.
Battalion chief.
We didn't have any other positions.
At that, no, there was no captains, lieutenants, and that time you had to have 15-year service to be promoted.
Wow. You had to have 15 years.
15 years.
Wow.
And then it dropped down to whatever. But at the time, there was no captains or lieutenants. It was just battalion.
And you were in charge of a shift, or?
Yes, I worked most all the shifts, but my last one predominantly was the A platoon.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a story about that, if it fits in there, okay. If not, when I become commander of the A shift, we've soon became to be known as the $1 Million Fire Club, because we were having all the major alarm fires come to the A trick.
Okay.
And the other tricks moaned, we're coming over the A trick, you guys get all the fire, and we sit here and this and all that. You know that old story on that. But that's what the story they started around, because we had all the big fires, which maybe you wouldn't know now, the TRW.
Yeah.
Vern Industrial Building.
All these obviously big historical fires in the city, they were all A shift.
Yes, most of them.
Yeah.
Harrisburg Hospital, we had over $1 million fire in there for bedding stored in the basement of a big storeroom. We just couldn't find the fire, so it's a lot of smoke damage, and one of the employees went through the door and left the operating door open, so that made the $1 million for the hospital.
Right.
It wasn't due to fire loss, it was due to smoke, through somebody's negligence.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of other smaller fires mixed in there. They called multiple alarms,
right,
or general alarms, but they were about the biggest. The TRW and Blau Wagner. What was another one? I had Blau Wagner. The Harrisburg Hospital. I'm forgetting something, but that's all right. That's big enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. Yes. Yeah, we were getting to be known as a Millionaire Club, a Million Fire Club, whatever it was.
And you got promoted then to assistant chief, right from battalion chief?
No, I got promoted, let's see. Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm. In 68, I was promoted to battalion chief. And okay, I was promoted to battalion chief by Elmer W. Shower, that fire chief. In June 1979, I was promoted to acting assistant chief. In May of 79, I was appointed to permanent assistant chief until 1980. And then I worked a year as the acting chief through Mayor Breed, and he had to make his selection, and at the end of the year he selected Chief Lieutenant Donald Kunkel, who was the chief up until then.
Okay.
But the funny part about it was when Donnie come to work, he and he was assigning me at the Allison. Real nice kid. He come from Williamsport, and he loved ladder trucks. He said up there they had to just go up and over the mountains and come down. That was just one of his anecdotes. So.
Yeah.
But we got along real well. I used to kid him all the time. I said, Chief, you're welcome to the chief's job. I don't want it. I make more money than you, and you got all the headaches.
Right.
And at that time, because of my seniority and all, I was making some money. But he turned out pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Anything? Well, the years you worked out of the Allison, you worked on the ladder truck.
Mm-hmm.
What was the ladder truck back then? Well, I mean, obviously you were on a job well before '57.
Whoops.
Well,
The Mac, 35 Mac.
the 35 Mac was still in service.
Yes.
So you got to drive the 35 Mac.
35 Mac.
And then the 57 when it came.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the 35 Mac was all hand operated, turntable, fly,
Yeah.
on down the line. So
Yeah, that truck is really quick to set up too.
oh yeah,
Mechanically.
just pulling down. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What talking about this, and obviously the years that you go back, what is one of the biggest changes during your career that affected the fire service? I mean, it could be anything.
Well, it probably when they changed the hours and we went to 4 platoons away from 3,
Okay.
and the building of the new stations, going down from 16 stations till Paxton, Mount Pleasant, to 4 stations. The larger stations up down the one on the hill, which houses an engine and a truck and chief's cars.
Yeah. Oh, going through that change when they said that was coming down the line,
Mm-hmm.
what did you think initially? Did you support it? Were you skeptical?
Oh no, I liked the hours and they still operated the same. You worked your 4 days and then you're off, and
But consolidating from all those firehouses to 4 houses.
yeah, it didn't bother me. No, so I had to work somewhere. So
Right.
and we were where I worked mostly was where the chief's cars were available, uptown or at the hill station. The captain was uptown on the truck, and the lieutenants were out the hill in the squad. And then the battalion chiefs were uptown and on the hill,
Right.
which I was at your station now, the Allison.
And you said originally you were a Chiefs driver. I think.
Yeah, I drove Elmer for a while. Then I went
Chauffeur.
Monk Shover, yes.
Monk Chauffeur.
Then
what kind of chief was he?
oh, he was good, very good. Yes, easy to get along with. Stern, I guess, when he had to be, but he was an even-going guy. He didn't get riled or mad at you or anything. If you made a mistake, he'd just tell you about it and go on about his business.
Yeah.
But I was around, you got to understand now, I was around Monk all my life. So from way up being exposed to the fire department and going back to the Allison again, I only lived a half a block from the Allison at 15th and Reese.
Okay.
I could hear the indicator going off in my back porch. I'd jump over the back porch and go in the back door, and I was in the Allison.
Right.
And
what was your address?
324 South 15th.
Okay. Yeah.
So right in the corner of Reese Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That literally was your backyard.
And we were there. Well, my dad broke his leg, or had a broken leg. We were there one night. He said, "It sounds like a fire engine running." I said, "Yeah, I can hear that." So I went out the back door and up the alley, and sure enough, here's the old Aaron's Fox sitting back here. That's when the Allison burned out.
Oh.
Lightning hit it.
Yeah, the lightning strike.
The fire was the Allison.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in the early 40s.
Yeah, I don't remember what year it was, but I remember the incident. Mm-hmm.
Huh. But your family, your father was on the job also.
Yes.
Were you a volunteer at the Allison?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I went there when they took me in when I was 16. It should have been 18. They took me in.
I'm sure you were in there ever since you were a little kid.
Oh yeah. I lived there. That's why I said nobody could offer me any other employment. I don't care what it was or where it was. I knew where I was going with my life then. So
Yeah.
I didn't have no problem with that.
Right. And I mean, what'd you say, 40 years
I
on
was
the job?
46.
46 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long career.
Yeah, that's 3 times over 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't even ready to retire then, but I figured, I'm going to get inside of a burning building. Somebody's going to have to come look for me. Then we're both going to be dead. So
Yeah.
I just get it. And my physical stuff was going downhill too. So,
Yeah.
but I hated to leave.
Yeah. I'm sure.
But,
Out of the old stations, what any favorites? Any ones you didn't like working at?
No. We all got along well. Every Friday night was poker night, and some of the guys as were off come in, spent the night there playing cards up till the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we all got along well. I didn't have no problems with any of them as far as relief or anything. If they wanted to come early, fine, I'd come early. If they wanted to come 5 o'clock, I'd come 5 o'clock. I mean, that's the way they wanted it, so there was no animosity about it. So
A lot of money shuffled back and forth playing poker.
various nights, yes. Then it started getting out of hand. We were getting up to $300, $400, $500 pots,
Yeah.
paying $1, $2 or something like that. And we had some big spenders come in there. They didn't care if he left $100 or $200.
It wasn't even just limited to firemen.
No. So I had a bus driver come in. Guy owned a body shop, a plumber. 2 guys retired from PP&L. And I know their names, but I don't think it'd be proper to say their names. Well, one was my uncle, but that Harry, he owned a plumbing business. Well, Porthmore, he don't care. He owned Porthmore Body Shop.
Okay.
And Dave, he drove a bus, and we had them from all over. Well, Chief Elliker come back. Tootie Herzog come back.
What was that name?
Tom Herzog, Tootie.
Tootie.
He was one of Monk's drivers, one of Chief's cars.
He was on the job?
Oh, yeah. He worked at the Royal, and when Monk when Monk became chief, Tootie was one of the drivers he selected. He had to select his own. He took Naz Metzger, Tootie. I can't remember the other 2 guys, but they were older people.
I wanted to ask you, when you were a fireman working on the ladder truck, who was your coworker? I mean, who was? He ran an engine and truck out of there.
Yeah, Audie Stoner drove the front end.
What was the name?
Audie.
Audie.
They called him Doc Stoner.
Doc Stoner. I don't think I've ever heard that name before.
I don't know who else was on the front end. Bobby Roberts. He's passed away. He drove the truck. I was only there after all the moves and all around. I was only there a little bit longer, then I become a battalion chief. But then I'm right back here because I kept the car there.
Right.
So I was right at home.
Yeah. Well, that was nice. That worked.
Oh yeah, I knowed everybody and everything, and well, it was every Wednesday night was bingo, and they brought the people from the neighborhood in. You sit down and talk with them and talk about the neighborhood and whatever, and not really talk about anybody, but just talk.
Yeah.
It was nice to be around them. They come in about 7 o'clock, go home at 10 o'clock. So.
Yeah. And when you're a chief's driver, I mean, something came in. Would you go? You would go pick the chief up?
Yep.
And they wouldn't go on regular false alarms.
No. Well, yeah, false alarms until we determined whether it was a false alarm or not.
Really? So
they answered
all
everything.
The fire calls, you went and picked them up at home.
Swartz's car, Chief Earl Swartz, was at the Paxton. Yeah, drove him. He went up, I think it was up until Washington Street, and picked him up. Monk was at 18th and Market. Chief Halsey was on 18th Street, right at State. And Pappy McBride, he was down at the Susquehanna. And that's about the ones of them. I worked, was it under 10 mayors and 9 fire chiefs.
Wow.
Claude Robbins was the chief when I went in the department.
Huh. Well, 46 years, that's a...
Well, they're probably more chiefs than that now. This was way back when. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see what else. What else I got down here?
Well, how old are you, Chief?
Me, I'm 62.
62?
Just turned 62 in November.
Good looking 62.
Well, thank you. Yeah, see, I have it here. I was born November 11th, 1933, the son of late Assistant Chief and his wife, Catherine. I graduated from John Harris High School. 2 later, I was hired by the department. 1963. I married my high school sweetheart and went into the department in 1944. I was married 38 years until my wife passed away, and then I remarried to my wife of the present, Virginia. I'll get that in there. Yep. I did tell you a few of the anecdotes.
Yeah.
Well, another one was, I think it was Sonny Roberts and Audie Stoner, which I spoke of before in the truck. They were answering alarms someplace when they got to 17th and Derry. Somehow they didn't miscued. The engine kept going straight. And the truck ended up on 17th Street,
Right.
sideways against a high-powered light standard. But they were both all right. I mean, they weren't going that fast. It was just too fast.
Yeah, right.
That was one of them. And to go back maybe to the riots.
Well, yeah, there's not much, at least fire department record of, any of the issues, concerns, responses.
Oh yeah.
What position were you in when the riots occurred?
In 1988, I was just a new battalion chief. So the first fire was at Mattress Company at 14th and Howard. Coming mobile alarm, I get up, I come in. First thing Chief Shover says to me is, take my car and start answering the alarms. Well, it just went one right after the other. You went to the hill, you went uptown, you went somewhere else. And then I spoke of Henry Young. He was riding all over the city with me to get storage, I guess. And we ended up with a fire at 3rd Street, a furniture store. Then the next day I went back out to the mattress fire. And from there it was just one alarm after another, harassment. And
how long did the riots last?
I want to say a few months or so.
There was just turmoil in general.
Yes, well, it was a lot of damage. When we first started responding to the calls, until it started getting worse, it's just one after the one after the one after. Then we assigned different areas to different stations. They would be the only one answering the calls along with the squad. So, getting near the end of it, we were still answering false alarms, and I was riding on the squad because they didn't leave no cars. And we had a call at 6th and Minnick, right at the Firehouse. Away we go. We get up there, nobody around the box. Next thing, Ben was a black boy at that time, huge. He got off the back of the washy wagon, and no sooner the stones and the bricks and everything started flying. So I had to get the heck back on the wagon. We went up to 6th and Maclay, reported to Monk that we were 6th and Minnick. I didn't get a chance to ride the box, which will come in again, but they're stoning us now. He said, well, I'm coming in. Next thing, Monk's on the radio. Next thing I hear, he said, them son of a bitches throwed a brick through my windshield. So then we were running out of the Shamrock then. So
did they, during that time, did they abandon the Riley? They didn't...
No, they'd run out of there.
Okay.
In fact, Hank was shot up there.
Hank.
Anchor Brandt. I don't know if anybody told you about that or not. He was a tillerman on the truck. He got shot.
Shot in his hand.
His hand or his shoulder, I don't.
Yeah. But at the during this time, people will see pictures and stuff. Is when we got the plexiglass enclosure on the rigs,
right,
the
for the protection.
And you were saying earlier about your gear.
Yeah.
Changes. In the gear.
The officer predominantly wore white, and the firefighters wore black. So during the riots, we had to go to black bunker gear, the same as a firefighter. Because at the time, the story was, you're like an Indian. They shoot the chief, they think everybody goes home. So we got there, they didn't know who the chief was.
Right.
So, but during the riots, we had a lot of problems, a lot of fires, some pretty big ones. And the worst one with the damage or anything was 16th and Walnut.
Okay.
To the squad, Engine 8. They got between 13th and 16th and Walnut, and the streets just loaded up with people. They couldn't back up. They couldn't go forward without running over everybody. And they destroyed the engine.
Wow.
Bricks, windows, and everything on it. Like I say, we answered. I think that first night, Monk told me to go answer calls. I think I answered 70-some or 80-some box alarms. Just false alarm, false alarm, false alarm all over the place. And then we ended up with that fire there. And I don't think Joe End was during the riots. None of the great big fires were during the riots. They were all small stuff. And then,
just disturbance calls.
Yes, and
nuisance.
Like I say, when it got dangerous, when they started throwing the stuff at the.
Right.
And we were down to running one engine or one piece or something just to make sure that we were covered. So.
Did they ever run any police units with the?
Oh yeah, yes. Mm-hmm.
And what actually started the riots? I mean, at least the story I heard was a lady trying to get on the
at 13th and Market Street.
13th and Market.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say. That's one of the stories that floated around, that she went to the CVS there, 13th and Market, or whatever it was, and she wanted a pack of cigarettes, and they told her the store was closed. And she more or less tried to force herself into it, and she got pushed back, and they shut up. And then it started on and on and on. They getting together, you know how they do, and I shouldn't even be using that, but how the people become. And it just escalated from there. Like I say, the mattress fire started all the bigger fires, so.
Yeah.
Then it just escalated up from that. Let's see, where else was I here? On the squad. Well, eventually we hired four female firefighters in my career, who I think right now are all retired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a big change for the fire service.
Yes, that was one of them. That was the biggest, I guess. Getting back to big fires, I always say the biggest or worst fires, one the most that cost me the most money. It was when I lost 5 kids in a fire in 1982. 5 children, their parents put wherever they were in the house, from where we found them, behind some old paneling, some up in the bedrooms, some downstairs behind. And the parents went out to finish the holiday. I think they went down to the bar room down the street. And then 2 years later, we lost 3 more children, same type of fire. And that's when I broke my leg. trying to get up the steps with, I forget who the firefighter was, in advance line to do a rescue, and the stairs collapsed. And down we went. And I continued there for about an hour and a half or so, and I went limping up the street, and Chief Kunkel said, "What's the matter with you? You're limping around here." I said, "Well, I hurt my leg. The steps broke." He said, "Well, going into the hospital." I said, "No, I'll go when we're done here." And I limped on up the street. Then eventually they took me to the hospital and found that my leg was broken. But like I say, the biggest fires was the most expensive, but this was the worst. It gets to you when you gotta rescue or help, especially the children, babies, or older people who can't help themselves.
Right.
I mean, you'll find them in closets or on their beds. And most of the time, they think they're safe there, and until you get to them, they're gone.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of fire deaths in my time, but the kids on Evergreen Street was terrible, horrible. I know you'd need that kind of stuff, but we lost some kids on Regina Street. I was working on a truck, tiller in the Allison truck. Went over and put the truck in service up the second floor window. Got inside, looked all around, and then hollered all around, and come out, and then right under the window inside, they found two kids. And we were right there. Yeah. For you to know, if it even made a noise, we were there. But then one of the volunteers at 8 was a plumber. Tommy, I forget what his last name was. But he had run out of engine 8. We had a fire call to his house. Went up the front, the steps were all gassed, the back were all gassed. He tried to burn himself up. He's a huge man. We went in, pulling ceilings and all like you do. We didn't even know he had the covers up over his head. And hell, it wasn't later on we found his body there.
Huh.
He committed suicide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's some of the more gory stuff. And naturally, there's all good stuff going on. As you know, in the fire department, it was a good place to work for, the best I know of.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it to anybody. But my first thing when I talked to recruits or something was, if you don't like it or don't think you like it, get the hell out now. We're not wasting our money on you.
Yeah, right.
So
you either know you want to be here
yeah,
or you don't.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
And I don't know where else we could go. Unless you have a lot more questions or...
No, we can talk about whatever funny stories, pranks.
I told you just about all my funny stories. There's not too many of them.
Especially with somebody with the amount of time in the service as you, changes in the service, the apparatus changes.
Oh yeah, that's
modernization. One question, thinking about talking with you, Norm Arnold.
Norm, yeah.
You know that? Did you know Norm?
From Station 2, yep. Mm-hmm.
Norm, at least I have photos of. He was at least at one point, he lived across the street from the Allison.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he was the last, at least that I know, the known driver that drove horse-drawn apparatus and drove mechanical apparatus.
That could very well be. He's close to some of the older people. And maybe the older people I'm thinking of aren't as old as what Normie was. But the Shickley brothers, they were pretty old.
Shickley?
Uh-huh.
I never heard that name before.
Pete Shickley and his brother, I can't think of his brother. They both worked in the fire department. And they worked out at the Royal.
Okay.
And I tell you the joke, thing about Pete, nobody could sleep. He couldn't go sleep till everybody come in. He kept a bat by his bed. And he better know you when you come in there, or he hit you on the head with that baseball bat. Yes. Yeah. That could well be with Normie Arnold. I think I've seen pictures already of him. But he ended up.
I don't have a picture of him. Actually, I don't have a picture of him on a horse-drawn apparatus, but I have him driving the duplex ladder truck out of the Allison. And
Well, that's pretty good then, because he ended up at the Hope on the engine.
okay.
Let's see if I'm putting the right person. Yeah, Normie Arnold. He worked there with two older guys, Fred Challenger. Oh God, I can't think who the other guy was, but they were pretty able to depart when I come on.
Yeah. One thing, the HFD patch.
Mm-hmm.
The before we got the scramble, that
House Seals
Bob
Fuddy
Ryder.
House Seals Fuddy Duddies.
House Seals Footy Duddies.
That's it went this way and this way.
Yeah. Do you by chance have one?
No, I don't think so. No.
I've been trying to find one forever, but
They were sewed on everything I go away, like overcoat. When Bob House Seal come in, he changed the overcoats. They were overcoats that come down to your ankles.
okay.
And then the guys were getting them cut off and they become finger length.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then we did away pretty well with all the uniform business and went into the jackets. We have the gray and two or three different variations from then on. But
the grays.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the blue. Or first started out it was jeans and denim shirts,
Okay.
and then I guess after get rid of them we went into the grays, and from the grays I guess we went into the Nomex Nomex.
Pants.
Mm-hmm.
Button up. Yeah.
Yep.
One thing when I told people online that I was doing this interview tonight,
Mm-hmm.
if there's any questions or anything, one person posted, how you got the nickname Moon.
Moon. Okay. Well, Chief Kunkel kept that name on. Nobody else in the fire department ever bothered calling me that. Maybe one or two guys. But this happened when I lived at 15th and Vernon. And I lived at my grandmother's house. And my Uncle Donnie, he was on the department for about 12 years and then he moved on. But anyways, there's a guy, a baseball scout up the street, and he called Donnie Sunshine and me Moonshine. Well, Sunshine went away, Moonshine never did. The whole way through, over around Vernon there where Harry Hafer and them was, it just followed me through. And pictures in my yearbook, Mooney, and women writing Mooney and all this stuff, in the yearbook. So that just kept with me, and Jimmy Ryan, he drove the truck at the Alps. He used to call me Moonsy. Moonsy. And Donnie, he picked up on that Moon. He called me more Moon than I did anything. Charlie or Chief or whatever, I think.
Yeah, but his nickname was Sunshine.
Yeah, Donnie Breach. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
He was in the department for 12 years. Let's see, I had a great uncle that retired out of the department for 32 years. And then my dad was here for 30-something years. So we got well over 100 years of
Right.
in the service. It's probably more with volunteer service added to it.
Yeah. Well, back then there was a lot of volunteer.
Oh, yeah. Yep. My dad come here from Marsh Run. He worked for federal government, the fire department over there, until such time he got hurt here. Mm-hmm. Let's see. There's the incident where the kid from Raleigh got killed.
What was that?
Donald Henry. We had a multiple alarm fire at 7th and Hamilton Street around there. It was a junkyard fire. And they were out back
Over by the railroad tracks.
in a gondola car, and the back of it blew out.
A what?
A gondola car, a little train car
Oh, okay.
with the sides only about that high.
Okay.
They were back there when the back of it blew out. Let's see, it involved Sam McGlynn. He was all beat up. They found him walking down the tracks towards the railroad or down south he was going.
Right.
Cappy Fitting,
Cappy.
Sam, Cappy. I don't miss nobody, but I know Donald Henry. He was a volunteer at the Riley. He was killed. We put about 5 or 6 in the hospital that night.
Huh.
Yeah. That was not a good scene. See him moving around the city. I could say it about the Harrisburg Hospital. That was a fluke.
Yeah.
Stuff like I should never be normally happy, but it's one of the things that.
Yeah. Anybody, anybody, I won't say give you a fit, but working with any of the guys, especially as assistant chief or even when you're battalion.
I never had to discipline too many people, but I sent maybe 2 or 3 of them home for insubordination or something. And I won't mention no names, but the battalion chief something happened, and the battalion chief come in. And he walked right in my office, and he's raising hell. I said, "Settle down, will you?" I said, "Tell me what your problem is." He told me. I said, "Well, that's not what happened." He said, "You're a fucking liar." I said, "I am, huh? You see that door? Just go on out of it, and we'll tell you when to come back to work."
Yeah.
Well, that was Tommy O'Keefe. He's dead. I don't. Yep. And then a couple of them, one kid run the ladder truck through the door after it was down, and I give him a written reprimand. And he come in, he's ready to heck with me. Why? Would you give me this written? That'll be in my record. Well, certainly. Why not? And he didn't talk to me for years.
Yeah.
Yep. Just over a little incident like that.
Yeah.
A couple in the fairgrounds where people didn't want to listen too well.
Yeah.
And never really amounted to anything, a day or two of suspension, but
Yeah.
nothing great. But it does happen.
Any prankster or funny Firehouse stories or?
No, I remember one, I forget where it was. We had an automobile wreck, and they put the flares down the road, and I'm standing by the wreck. Next thing, somebody said, "Hey, your pants are on fire." I said, "What?" Nomex. I burnt the whole damn back of the Nomex pants. That right on the flare it was. Yeah. Yeah. That was sort of funny. I'm trying to think back where.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to span that many years and pulling the memories out.
Oh, we had Lieutenant Rovenhaver, he's the firefighter at that time. We trying to teach him to play pinochle, and he is dumber than a box of rocks. He just could not do it.
Did the individual did they play cards at all the firehouses?
Not all of them, no. We played at the Paxton very, very rarely if certain people would come around.
Okay.
One guy owned a banana company, and another guy owned this, a barrel company, and if they get together, we'd play.
Where was most of the card playing?
At the Allison.
Okay.
And the Shamrock.
Shamrock.
Mm-hmm. They didn't get as near as bad as what the Allison got, but they had some pretty good games over there. They had some professional football referees come in there and play, and some well-known people.
Did they have I've heard the Allison had a house game, and I can't remember what it's called. Flip, or I forget what somebody told me. I can't remember what.
Oh, they played?
Yes, it was like
They played canasta, they played pinochle, they played poker, they played cribbage, played hearts.
anything really with cards, I'm imagining.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except go fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
Like I say, I've moved around to all the stations when I first come here. Like I said, I drove every piece of fire apparatus they had at that time. And the only ones I never driven was the new tower trucks. When they come in, I was done with apparatus.
The aerial scopes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
You were assistant chief by then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I did mention about my retirement party on City Island. I had to thank a lot of people for that. Donnie Kunkel, my wife, and my family and some others in there, and especially all the people from City Hall. I must have had close to 80, 100 people come.
Yeah.
It was huge. We had filled the big pavilion up on City Island. Like I say, I made a mistake with it, and I come walking up there. And, what the hell's going on over here now? Then they had to tell me, because then people started coming in.
Right. Well, and we were talking about that before the interview.
Mhm.
If you want to tell that story again, how you ended up at your own party.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is one of the funny stories, but it was the end of my career at my retirement party on City Island. I was supposed to be there at a certain time, so a firefighter and my son and I were out playing golf. And Walter looked at his watch, and he didn't see what time it was. He saw it's time to go, so we got over to the island. We were an hour early, and nobody there. So then they had to tell me what was going on. Then the people started coming in, and I was the first one to go to my own celebration.
First one to your own party.
But I mean, we had everybody there. The mayor on down, and like the pictures I showed you of Linda and all them upstairs there. So I was really friendly with everybody in there, and I think through the years, I was the most friendly chief it ever was with the police department. I mean, I knowed everybody. I'd walk around and hello, and we'd sit and talk and stuff like that. That stuff didn't exist when they had other chief, our police chief.
Okay.
Bruno Favasoli and a couple other ones. They just stayed upstairs where their offices were, pretty much. But then some of the younger ones got out and moved around more, and they were all good chiefs.
So the older times, I mean, the departments were very much separate than
much. I would think so, more so than what they are today.
Yeah.
Well, then we started getting Denny Woodring, Sergeant Denny Woodring of the police, got really interested in arson. So we'd work a few arson cases with him. We'd call him out, and eventually he got the arson dog. And he's upstairs on the third floor in the detective bureau. So I went to the police chief, and I said, "Chief, we got an empty office downstairs. Denny's doing more firework than he is detective. Can he move down there? So let me talk to your chief." I said, "No, he's in agreement with it." He said, "Okay, so we'll move Denny downstairs." So Denny come downstairs with us then. But he turned out into an excellent investigator, which he still is.
Yeah.
He's, I guess, the county's chief investigator now.
Yeah.
But I see him around at all kinds of things, accidents, murders, everything. So.
Huh. Did Denny was he a part of the fire bureau then? Or
No, he stayed under the police.
Okay.
If there was really a need for more policemen or whatever his expertise was agreed he would go work where he's supposed to work, or take his tour as a chief or as an officer or whatever. That worked out well.
Yeah.
Let's see. And we ran when the first dog. I think after 8 or 10 years, we had to let her go because all the toxic fumes of sniffing and all would really destroy the dog. So he kept the dog, and he got a new one.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the new one's name was, but they're wonderful. I used to take the one over to the mayor's office every morning or every afternoon when I got the chance. And the mayor's private secretary didn't like dogs. I would take it over into the Aller office, and I'd sit there with one of the other girl. I can't think of her name now. Kay-Ann. She said, "You know you ain't supposed to bring that dog in here." And say, "I don't worry about it. I brought him over to see you." She said, "Okay." She gets. But Glenda, she didn't like the dogs. Yeah. But you couldn't take him around anywhere in there, calling him and trying to get him in their offices and all. But
that's something we've never talked about in the interviews with anybody else.
Denny.
Pets or
Yeah.
animals in the fire service? I know we had Axe.
Axe.
Um,
Mount Pleasant had Lieutenant McHenry had his dog.
it actually stayed at the Mount.
Yeah, when he was working, he stayed there. The rally years ago had one. As soon as the bell would ring, he had jumped on the back of that wagon. And nobody, if you didn't know him, you didn't get on there. He'd bite you.
At the Riley.
Yeah, that's going way, way back when they had the Seagrave wagons. You know how old that is.
Yeah.
When we had that Seagrave, and we had 1, 2, 3 Rios.
Oh yeah, the Rios were wagons.
Mm-hmm.
They are originally hose wagons.
Chemical. Yep. 2 of them had a 35-gallon tank, and I think it was a Warshie had a 70-gallon tank.
Okay.
Use that water, you're done, but you can do a lot of good with 35 gallons of water if you manage it right until something better comes along. But like I said, they were some of the older, the Seagraves and the Rios. In fact, the one Rio they built in Baldy Metzger's shop right behind the Allison.
Well, we had there was a Rio distributor or place right in Harrisburg, City, correct?
That I can't tell you.
Okay.
I know the one Baldy worked on, well, he was a fire driver. He worked on the trucks, and he had a shop also. And he had them 3 Rios and the Seagrave, and they were all the same except for the little booster tank. So
Of the rigs that you operated during your years, you weren't obviously an assistant chief. What was your favorite rig?
the trucks.
Trucks.
Mm-hmm. Front ender tillering. Tillering was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We have to get on to it. But you know, if you stood up and looked out the back of the tiller, it'd be the same as driving an automobile.
Right.
Or if you wanted to go around the corner, all depends how sharp it was, you turned the opposite way. But most of the time, you just hold the wheel still, the tractor pull you right around.
Right.
You had to just know when to turn them, when not to turn them, I guess.
Yeah.
But we had a couple other funny instances. When I was coming out of Paxton, we answered everything in the city. Either was out of district, you rode the ambulance. Was in district, you went in the chief's car, and was out there else the engine. You rode one or the other 3. So
Yeah.
we had a pretty busy night. We had a new young kid there. And we got alarm late in the morning. Next thing, here he comes down the steps carrying his boots under his arm. He gets on the tailgate of the truck. He looks at me. He says, "Well, who closes the barn doors?" Okay. We had another kid come there. We brought him out from the hill to replace somebody at the Warshie, the squad. Well, we had a pretty busy night. Then we ended up with a multi alarm fire out on 10th Street. Here he comes down. He's trying to get his pants up. I said, "Better get on the damn truck because we're leaving without you." And Sam, he never wore no gear.
Who was this?
Sam McGlynn.
McGlynn.
He was driving the Warshie Waggy. As soon as he's ready, out the door he went. He didn't care about me putting a helmet and boots and all.
Would he leave you?
Well, he left some guys, yeah.
Yeah.
We had another one, I guess it was the Paxton. Spike Bowers.
Spike Bowers? Yeah,
Yeah.
I know his family now.
Okay. He was working to Paxton.
He was an old Citizens boy, I believe. He volunteered there, or started there, but
He could be because he lived out 18th and Chestnut, but he worked up at the Raleigh,
okay.
or the Paxton in Raleigh. And I forget, he missed an alarm for some reason or other. Here come policemen up. They flagged the policeman down, got in the car, went up where the truck was going. So,
Any memorable times? Obviously, you operated rigs when they were open cabs.
yeah.
That's not many stories you hear anymore. Pulling out 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
It's snowing, raining.
Colder. And, yeah.
And it's funny. Obviously, I have the 57. It has windshield wipers.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because you're getting
yeah,
all that.
yeah,
It's kinda
frozen. Yes. Well, two things about the trucks was the Allison truck would clear over the back of cars.
pointless. Oh,
The Mount Vernon wouldn't with an overhang. You got to watch that, or that would catch the roof of a car.
okay.
So it all depends what trucks you're
The
working
way
on
that
with
the
the low.
rear end of
Yep.
the trailer was set up.
Yep, with the aluminum ladders and the wooden ladders.
Yeah. Now in the wintertime, I assume totally buttoned up, hood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could be snowing, raining, whatever.
See, at that time, they never dreamt of Nomex hoods or nothing. You didn't have that kind of stuff. You wore black pull-up boots and rubber bunker coat and whatever gloves or anything you could find or put on.
Yeah.
And been a lot of improvements in the gear and all over the years.
I would imagine.
And the
I
breathing.
mean, that's probably some of the biggest changes that affected. Well, you saw during your career
Mm-hmm.
the use of air packs.
Well,
water
and
quality gear.
the breathing apparatus, another big thing. Back when we had MSA, just the MSA canister filtered by charcoal would take a little bit of smoke, but nothing else. And then they come out with the Navy Chemox masks with the tanks in the front. And they were so heavy and bulky. First time we used them was up at 4th and Chestnut at the Hi-Hat Club fire right at the end of the Mulberry Street Bridge. We had 2 of them, we used them. Then we bought the MSA masks, and we burnt the induction center down at Southside Front Market. And Henry Young come in there, he wouldn't know where the breathing apparatus was. Without the shop getting painted numbers, get the hell out there and he had a lot of pull, that guy had.
Yeah.
So they went out and brought them in. That's the first we ever used them. Another funny story there. I was tilling the truck at the Allison metal ladder. Sonny was driving the front end. So we're parked on Market Street. Bob Halsell, Dave's granddaddy.
Yeah.
He was a chief. He pulled in and said, "Move that truck." I said, "Can't move it, chief." "What do you mean?" "Well, there's a bed of ladders." He said, "I say get that truck out of there." I said, "Okay, beep, beep, beep. Come on back, Sonny." Over the ladders we went, picked them up and put them on the wall of the courthouse. And that was one incident with him. The same guy we were tearing down uptown there. They had all these the slums like it, and they had all these vacant basements and all, and old butcher shops and stuff in there. And I'm in the truck once again, and Sonny's driving it, and it was a wooden ladders, 35, I guess. We're coming back, and I blowed Sonny down, and Dave and Housefield back there with the lantern. He's, "Come on back." I said, "Come on back." And I said to Tony, "We ain't going back because you back me any further, I'm going right in the basement."
Yeah.
And I can't jump off here quick enough. So I caught hell from Halsfield, both of them, but that was that stuff. So that was going back. 7th Street was all houses.
Oh yeah.
You used to go in there and you take your, well, go from house to house, you knock the cardboard down or something.
Yeah.
And there, 3rd and Broad and all that was the bucket of blood. Almost every night we had a mattress fire up there sometime or other.
Somebody else called that neighborhood the bucket of blood.
Mhm.
Basically, anything north of Forster Street.
Yeah, up in that area, Broad Street,
Yeah.
Hay Alley. Well, there's a bunch of them up in there.
And it was just because it was such a.
Oh, another one I wanted to tell you about. We had a guy setting a lot of small fires right around the holidays.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard this one or not. But he would hit that old beer distributor at 6th and Basin almost every other night, in and out and going. Then he started spreading out. He set little fires here, little fires there, down on 3rd Street and all around. So we couldn't catch that sucker. We watched it. And finally, the state police brought out some powder, blue powder they put down. It gets on your feet. You can't see it. except put a light on it. So finally they decided they're going to powder it out and powder the box. We never hit the box, so we went up there. He nodded around, started shining light. Sure enough, here's this blue stuff going up 6th Street towards Raleigh, down Raleigh Street to the Bethesda Mission. There's a phone booth there.
Yeah.
And here that sucker, he's inside the phone booth. Every time we'd come there, he'd run down there and hide in the phone booth. But that's where we caught him at. And he got the nickname Kris Kringle because he is out all the time around the holidays.
So he got over more than 1 year.
Kris
Kringle, that arsonist. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how long he got, but I know he hurt. I don't know if he's a lieutenant or not. Then Lieutenant Rodenhaver. This is sort of funny too, but it's not funny. It is a door with double. The bottom would open, the top one.
Okay.
Well, he come charging there at the air mask one, and he got under the bottom, and boy, hit that top, and back he went and knocked him out. He still suffers with back problems and all from that, he says.
Yeah.
And then we had, what the kid's name was, he stepped off a roof at 7th and Kelker Street. And, the kid from down in McSherrystown, Weaver, Andy Weaver.
Oh, Andy Weaver, yeah.
Yeah, he stepped off, I think it was he, stepped off the edge of the roof.
On the fence.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And little odds and ends went on, and
I'm sure a lot of the neighborhoods have obviously changed a lot.
Oh yeah.
Since you started, I mean, we had told the guys about the old Irish communities and the Lochiel,
right?
All the houses,
the Shy Poke
down there.
Yeah. You didn't dare go to Shy Poke. You didn't dare cross over that bridge if you didn't belong down there years ago.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. They'd chase you out there.
Was it? It was a bad neighborhood.
Well, it was a neighborhood of certain types of people, ethnic and all, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't want you down there. They didn't want you down there chasing their sisters or their girlfriends, or
Right.
they'd run you out. So.
But what we know as Shy Poke now, back then Shy Poke.
Oh no, the flood took it out along 9th Street and all, like it did the whole way down through Stilton, and the whole way up Cameron Street to the farm
all
show.
Houses down by PennDOT.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shinoy Street, all that.
Yes, and then down to the old Iron and Steel was at the end of the street. Bagnola's Ice Cream was down there, and there's a couple of businesses down there. GB Markey's bar and crab place. But most of the kids down there I run around with, I could go in and out of there one any time, but if you didn't know you better get in and get out. They didn't cotton too well to strangers. Just speaking of, and then you hear them talk about Campbelltown and this town and that town. Well, I don't really know where they were all at, but I know they existed at one time or the other. Sibyltown, places.
These are parts of the city?
Yeah, parts of, just sections of the city was named for that.
Huh.
Like one of them would run from maybe 6th and Maclay up to Schuylkill Street, 3rd to 4th. It was just them blocks in there, and then some more down had different names.
Yeah. Huh.
Yes.
Do you remember any of them specifically?
The
little name. I know. Well,
like I say, it was Smoketown or Campbelltown or Camp up around the Camp Carrollton Church. I guess it was a 6th and Camp.
Okay.
Sibyltown. And a couple other ones, and like I say, Shy Poke.
Right.
And there was really no specific name that I could recall other than Allison Hill, which took up the whole hill.
Yeah. I mean, we still use some of like the Gut.
Yeah, the Gut. That's yeah.
Actually, I used to live over on South 25th Street, and I always heard that as Eastmere.
That could be, but I know the Gut. That run from 13th Street down to down to the end.
Royal Terrace.
And then the other end ran from
State Market.
State, yeah. Well, there was whatchamacallit between there and Market. There was the steps went down to Market Street.
Right.
What the heck else was there? Like you say, I can't remember any of them other than.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember we were up around Cameron and her, someplace like that, where there was a bunch of old shacks, a whole row of them. Bob Halsey was assistant chief, and he come to the Allison and played cards on the Saturday or something like that. And we were assigned to go up there and burn them down, take them out completely and burn them down. Well, we were up there burning them down, and we got an alarm for 2nd and Washington, right across from the Paxson, at the heck, what was that? Oh, the moving company there. So we're going down Cameron Street. The more smoke we seen, the faster Halsey went. I'm sitting there like this. It was a little old coupe he was driving. Whew. Like I say, the more smoke, the faster he went. And we got down there. It was really going good. And that's the first time I think that I ever remember pumping water out of the river.
Oh, okay.
Other than taking trucks to draft with them to test them. Yep.
Huh.
Where else were we? Halsey? He was.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't like to use his name too often. Dave will get mad at me. His grandpap. Oh, that's what it was. We were always Mac. Mac this, Mac that. You know, they say about Charlie Eisenacher, take his pants down, he got Mac wrote across his ass. So, then somehow Chief Halsey got mad at the distributors because they wouldn't do something that he wanted done to change the trucks or something anyways. So then he went over to bought the 2 ladder trucks alike. LaFrancis, yep.
Yeah.
That was the end of Mac for us, that we started getting into Sutphen and.
Right. And then Mac stopped making fire trucks.
Oh, did they then? Well, they were up to McCungy for something. It was the last truck we even seen. It was a ladder truck, and we went down. It was the dumbest damn thing you ever looked at. They put the stick up, and the emergency ladder at the end of the stick went up this way, and it's like it went down the other side. You had to go up one side and down the other to get off of it.
Yeah.
Crazy, and I'm telling you, the sides of it, the wind was making it waffle like. That's how, it was a terrible built truck. Then we got into Sutphen, Kovacs, I guess he was. First time we went up, I forget where it was, up in the coal regions or something. So Donnie and I went up. They had like a little Gunnison, steel Gunnison hunt. They had this in there, and then they had another one built. He said, this is a transmission. It goes up there for this, and it goes over there for that. And while we're there, the guy picks the phone up. Yeah, what? Texas, yeah. 3 of them. Okay. Next thing the phone's rang again, so-and-so. Oh, yeah, 6 of them. Okay. I said to Donnie, I said, damn, we're selling a lot of trucks. But we didn't like them at first.
The KMEs.
Mm-hmm. The one, I think they put the wrong engine or wrong transmission in it. Maybe the engine. And the guy said, well, we don't have no more engines. Like, we'll give you the biggest one we have and put it in, no extra charge. That's how they work.
Yeah.
Ended up, the guy had a fireplace, fire up there. They mined coal. Had a Cadillac, Chevy, and automobile dealership. But they made out real well. Well, that goes back to Bill Menser. Did you know Bill? He was a salesman for them. Okay. He and Donnie were best friends. So the word got around, and they always kid Kunkel about, hey, when you taking me up to Bill's cabin?
Yeah, right.
But Menser was in the fire department for a while, and he got out.
I think if I got my Mensers right, he runs with Ed Shelley.
Yeah, well, he did at the time.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know if Ed died or not.
No, Ed's still around. He actually, I had him at the Allison about a year or two
Oh, yeah,
ago.
well, he moved down to Florida.
Oh, right, after he left the department.
Right, and he got married down there, I think. Or if he wasn't married when he left here. He got divorced, and then he developed that infliction he got.
Yeah.
And he left.
Bill was on the job for about 10 years.
Bill,
Going for a number of years.
Bill Menser?
Yeah.
Oh, not quite that long, no. Maybe 5.
He was on for a couple of years.
Yeah,
So.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think else came here with. Well, like I said, I got to know a lot of them different people from down there just from. And I, to this day, with the volunteers, I'm walking through the shopping or something. Hi, Chief. My wife says, "Who's that?" I said, "Hell, I don't know." I know Sam Denny people from the different townships and all.
Yeah.
So.
You just loved what you did.
Oh, yeah. I got in trouble at one time. I was Chambersburg, I guess it was. They had somebody up on top of a big high tank and they had no way to get him down. So they called and I sent Kurt Quigley and Denny Dudenhofer off with the truck. They pissed and moaned the whole way over and back. It was so cold. What are you sending us to Chambersburg for? And blah, blah, blah.
So you ran a fire truck the whole way to Chambersburg.
Yep. Tower truck. Mm-hmm. We used to do a lot of outside stuff before, especially for ladders. We were the only one trucks around. Now everybody else in there got a truck. They don't need us for trucks no more. So that's a problem. I think with half of the volunteers now, it's all territorial. They don't want you in your place and they don't want you that. But three of them go out and buy a aerial truck. 3 of them go out and buy a heavy duty, and then they'll get a new engine. It don't make sense, all the money they're spending.
Right.
They don't get use out of them.
Right.
And I guess Paxtonia's the only one that has is the tiller anymore around here. Well, the new one does.
Right.
So.
That's we actually did some driving on today, trying to get. Obviously, it's been, about 30 years or so since we had one.
Yeah.
There's not. I don't think there's anybody on the job that really has any.
That's what I said to somebody. Who's going to teach them how to drive it?
Yeah.
The factory?
Yeah. Well, actually, we're getting a guy to come in. They're bringing him in from some city, but we've been going up to Hack and the phone show and driving and getting the experience. But
it's just not that. Just like the biggest thing is giving yourself enough of room to get around, where to turn or where to whatever, and
it's a totally different game now because we have headsets. We can talk to.
Oh yeah. That's another thing.
It's funny. I heard you earlier say Chief Halcyon told you to back up.
Yep.
And you went ring, ring, ring.
Yeah, that's.
I don't even think the guys know what the buzzer system is.
No, it's 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
3 buzzers, 4 buzzers, but I mean it's a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, that's the only communication you have between the tillerman and the front end. You want you to stop for a wind to hear, you got to. If he keeps on going, you got to blow him down and stuff like that. But no, it's well, let's see, what do we do? Cover the riots, cover the stations, cover the chiefs. My celebration.
Is there anything you want to close with, or?
No, nothing in particular except it was a great ride, best in the world. I recommend the job to anybody who's got an interest in it. The volunteer system right now is going downhill. I think it's not going to be in existence too much longer because of the expense and all the training that they have to take now, state and all. You just can't get nowhere near a fire truck without the qualifications, which never existed. You want to join? Here, get on the truck, go ahead and go. But them days are long gone. I got maybe Well, there's school now in the city too, but not like when Chet was here. I got about 20 certifications up there on breathing apparatus, on foam, on this, on that, and on down the line from ladders, ropes, rescues, techniques, and
Just a lot different time now.
oh yeah, yep. I remember one time I was up at PP&L up on 10th Street at the generating plant there. They had all this soft coal would come in for that burn.
Okay.
And they had this one old dude, he wasn't supposed to be out there, and all of a sudden he started and got stuck up to his waist. They didn't know how in the hell to get him out there. So we spent almost a day up there at the Allison truck. And finally Chet come and we rigged up something, crawled out, dropped down and got him out of there, because if you'd shushed around him too much, he'd have... So we got him out of there all right.
Huh.
Other than some fire deaths and other stuff like that, it's I don't think there's as many funny stories as there about work, the actual job. So,
Right.
and I only had to recommend or get rid of one person. That was a guy up on Minnick Street. The nozzle man went in. He was supposed to be behind him, and next thing I said to him, he's outside. I said, "Where's the nozzle guy?" He's up on the second floor. I couldn't take no more of that. I said, "Okay, get out. We're going to be done with you if I can help it." And we fired him. So you can't depend on somebody like that.
Yeah.
I don't need him,
Right.
because when I do need him, he won't be there. Maybe.
Right.
Yes.
Not everybody's made for this line of work.
Oh no. Nope. You take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Like I
Wouldn't
say,
change nothing.
No. Like I say with fire deaths and all, I can handle older people better than old, and especially babies, little kids and stuff. And we had enough of them around too through the years. When you mentioned George Harvey, I worked with him at the Washy. He was on the C trick and I was on the B trick. There was 3 of us there at the time. I think it was George, Bumps, and Henny was on the C trick.
Bumps.
Randolph. And Henny Rodenhaver. He had 2 sons that was in the department then. Herbie retired, and Pete, he left for someplace else.
Yeah.
Herbie, there was a lot of Rodenhavers around.
I think, if I remember correctly, there's 7 of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
And them and Terry was the funny one though. Give him mechanics or tools or something, he'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
But I swear, he's one of the best firefighters you could find or go with. He got promoted lieutenant, and do you think he could pass that captain's test to save his ass? So many people went over him. Here's Dan's poor Terry.
Yeah.
So, he just couldn't pass the test. I mean, he could do the work. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah.
He'd do the lifting for you.
Everybody has their role.
Oh yeah.
Everybody fits in.
Yes.
That's what I've learned. Everybody, has something to contribute. It's just
Yes.
where and how.
You got to. You got to work together. I
Pieces
mean,
fit into the puzzle.
It used to be you just ran helter-skelter. Now you don't do that no more. You go to a scene, you get assigned different things. Everybody supposedly knows where you're at, and
Right.
the incident command stuff. And I remember some of it, we were just getting into it, but not a whole lot. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could go out and do the whole job now.
Oh,
I guess I
sure.
could. Once I get there and start, I think I could do it. Yeah.
The job hasn't changed.
Oh, no.
Fires still occur, and we still try and put them out.
I think it's like ride a bicycle, you don't lose it. It's, especially out in the city, we had 2 or 3 different trucks. And makes and models and engines and relief valves and pressure regulators, and you go from one to the other. You figure, now what the hell am I on tonight, or what am
Yeah.
what am I doing? But it all worked out in the end. One more here, I know now. It was funny. Engine 8 come in, a brand new engine. Snowing and raining and sleeting and icy. And we hadn't, I don't think we got the chains on yet. I got a fire call for 10th and Market, the bar room there. And my first run on the engine, just about, here I am going down Market Street Hill, and I could see this thing burning. I can't go no faster, I'm going to lose a truck.
Right.
And finally we got down there, though. And that was the first fire I ever had with it.
Yeah.
If I'd have went any faster, we'd never get down there. Yeah.
And was that the C model Mac?
No, I don't believe.
Well, I guess that would have been before the C model.
Yeah, right before the squad.
First, that would have been your first job. That had to been. That would have been 54.
Yeah, we had it. That's the one they demolished in the riots in 60-something.
Oh, okay. I can't even think offhand what rig was.
I can't think of names. Well, we had they used to with the canoe over top of them.
The Seagrave engine. Seagrave. It was like it had a ladder rack on the top.
Well, we had two of them. Mount Pleasant and Camp Curtin.
Was it a Seagrave or LaFrance? I forget.
That'd be American LaFrance, I think. I don't think they were Seagraves.
Yeah, LaFrance. Because Dave Buskey had one.
We originally took the one off at the Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
They took it off. But the Camp Curtin and
That's right.
and the Mount Pleasant each had one.
Yeah.
Exactly alike.
Huh.
Oh, and going back to that, I was assigned to the Camp Curtin. To the engine. We've had a lot of homicides around the city, store owners and stuff like that. So they deputized certain firefighters, gave them a gun and told them to go out and watch stuff. So.
Really?
Mm-hmm. One was Al Hodge, and he was a driver of 13, so he left, and I went up there. I was there, oh God, I don't know how long. But that's another one of the incidents that we've had.
Deputized firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, they had to be, I guess, to carry a gun and maybe shoot somebody.
Yeah.
But I was up there for all that time.
There's a lot of things occurred during your career that I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
If that happened.
The more you say this or that, I remember it. But my God, you're talking 30, 40 years ago. Some of it.
A lot.
What was that? Now, the Camp Curtin, I liked that. It was fine. They had a bunch of old guys there. They were all pinochle players, domino players. So we had a good time playing pinochle and dominoes. Yes.
Oh, good.
And just go back to the two mechanics when they had the mechanic truck, Charlie Eisenhower and Eddie Menser. So they're long gone. So, you think anything else? I can't, buddy.
I think that's pretty good.